A blank piece of paper. What is going on, all you profitable stylists out there, and all your future profitable stylists out there? We are talking about hair extensions for active lifestyles. Are you a swimmer? Are you heavy into working out? Do you have a job that you have to pull your hair back in a lot? Are you an active parent who's running around chasing kids all over the place? Do you just like ponytails? Some styles, some women just don't like hair on their face. Whoops. So this is what we're talking about, all the different types of hair extensions for all the different types of active hair, active lifestyles. Good morning, Bernard.
I'm here.
You're here. You're very active yourself, so this should hit right home for you.
Say that again.
So you are very active yourself. So
I am.
Wheelhouse.
It's funny. Just the opposite is happening to me right now. Normally, I'm full of words on every topic ever, and I'm still like trying to wrap my head around this active lifestyle thing because I just feel like everybody is active. I mean, what does that mean for active lifestyles? Because who's not active these days? I think most people that wear extensions are pretty active. So how do we define active from non-active, or what's the alternative?
I've got it broken down into a couple of different things that I was going to ask you about and see.
Okay.
So I figure you've got the people who like fitness. They like to run, they like to jog, they like to swim, they like to dance, they like to do yoga, that kind of stuff. Then you've got the sports type people. You got your hikers, your skiers, your runners, to play, basketball, football, whatever sports, right? And then you got your professionals. Are you a flight attendant? Are you a waitress? Are you a doctor, a nurse? Are you in the military? Are you a police officer? So I kind of, got it down. And then are you like a professional? Are you like an office worker?
All three of those sound very active to me so far. No.
They're all active, but they're active in different ways.
Yeah.
I believe each one of them have their own kind of uniquenesses. For example, if we look at our law enforcement personnel, they have to wear helmets sometimes, or they have to always be actively keeping everything off their face, because if they have to engage with somebody, like if a cop has to arrest somebody and it's a female cop, she can't have her hair down in her face, and then the person she's trying to cuff is ripping her hairs off. Right. If you're a military personnel, you always have to have tight bun because, your dress uniform, or if you're in combat, you have to have a helmet on. So they always have to have their hair in a bun.
So I can see where specific, it's a bit of I know you didn't know that this was going to be a pet peeve of mine, but to me, I know you're thinking, this is a simple question. I hear hairdressers do it all the time when they ask their customer and they say, so we're going to do your hair today, and we're trying to think about like what we should do, cut, style, extensions, whatever. Would you say you have an active life? I hear, or are you just a lazy person?
This is true. It's very true.
I think it's such a weird, indirect way of asking, like, do you just watch TV a lot, or do you do something with your life? So I don't like the question when hairdressers do it in a consultation, asking if someone is active, because I think it's like a loaded question, because I think almost anybody's like, well, of course I am. I work out at least twice a year, I mean, yeah, I am. I
actively
wake up every day. I eat breakfast. I get coffee. I mean, I'm pretty active. So I probably need an active lifestyle hairdo. And I also think that people think right away, what if I do something active during this few months of me having these hair extensions? I better say I'm active in case that one time I'm active, they'll perform okay. I don't want them to fall out the one time I run to catch the bus or the taxi, because that activity just might. So to me, I have always done everything as if the person is going to be really hard on their hair no matter what. Now, I don't know. That's just my default.
What if I rephrase it to you this way? You just made me think about this. So you got a point. What if I rephrased it and said different hobbies, different professions, and different health or sports, recreational activities?
Yeah. And so then I think it just has to do with all those things we kind of got away from years ago of telling somebody how to take care of their hair if and when things happen. Like to me, just taking a shower could be considered active, like that's a lot and swimming. That's a lot of wet, extra weight, blow drying and styling. That's active. And so those are two of the most aggressive things that can be done to the hair no matter what. So to me, helping a client prepare and learn and know how to take care of their hair, whether it's hair replacement, hair extensions, because I mean, we had a hair replacement client. When you say cop, I think we have a couple of police officers that get their hair done by me. And I do always think like, wow, they get their hair shorter than mine and you can't tell they have a hair system on. And I think, oh boy, if you're getting a little scuffle, do you go for protecting your own hair before you what's the main goal? Yeah, no, you probably don't even think about your hair when you get into something like that. But has anybody ever lost their hair in a fight? And then years ago, I had a guy who was a trick skier and he liked to jump out of planes. And I was worried myself because I was a young stylist at the time. And that's when I started thinking like, well, it doesn't get much more active than barefoot skiing. Because barefoot skiing, you got to go pretty fast to get those little bitty feet to stay on top of the water,
Mm.
and that means you're hitting the water much harder than most people do. And he never lost his hair. So that's when I realized, okay, so if I do a great job and they are aware or take care of their hair, they can go through almost anything. So I never really differentiated like hey, if you're just a lazy person, I can really do a faster job here today. You can get out faster and cheaper and you don't have to worry about it. Do you watch TV at least 9-10 hours per day? Why don't we do it the opposite? Instead of asking people if they're active, let's ask them if they're lazy. Would that be offensive maybe?
Well, no, because then they're actively going to the kitchen to get some more popcorn or
That's
to get
what
another
I'm saying. There's some days where I'm completely inactive, and then there's days where I'm very active. And so to me, I feel like every service.
I think you went off the rails on this question.
I'm sorry. It's almost like asking a hairdresser asked a client, what guard do you use when they cut their hair? Like what number do we use?
Oh, I love it when the client, yeah, I want a zero. I want a 3 and a 1 on the top. I'm like, I think you got those numbers backwards, buddy.
Well, if they come in saying numbers, that's fine. It gives me an idea of where they want to be. But I just don't like the hairdresser asking the client. To me, it's more about professionalism. I guess I just got criticized on another YouTube video recently on a haircut where I was talking about not saying for hair replacement, not saying shave the head. I like to say remove the hair, take all the hair off. And he's like, oh, yeah, whatever, remove rather than say shave. And I was like, yeah, because words matter. Words matter. Like if we curse right here on YouTube, they ding us and they don't show our video to people. So, I mean, words matter in life. I mean, most people think some words are very offensive. And to me, that's when we use a word professional or professionalism, and we're talking about how we do our services. And we're talking about, I know active lifestyle is definitely a consideration as far as what hair can or cannot be done. And so when we talk to a person, you can almost get a person's feel and vibe just from the conversation without even asking the questions. Are you active or lazy? Just check one. Are you, I always think of the opposite. When I ask a question, I think of the opposite question. And if I can't ask the opposite, I try not to ask the one, so I feel like it's almost indirect.
Huh? You're always thinking about the context.
I think about the context. I think about how would it go if it were the other way around? Or when I ask it, I always think of like a comedian. I think about the sarcastic answer. And that gives me the quick reverse of what I'm asking. If I say, are you very active? No, I'm fat and lazy. Because that's what I think they might be thinking, because maybe you think of active as a thin, muscular, and I'm neither one of these, I'm not completely active, but I'm not completely lazy. And so if the sarcastic answer could come across kind of funny or rude, I think maybe I shouldn't ask that question. So when I'm doing hair extensions, I do think that looking at how they wear their hair when they walk in the door and what they're doing with their hands in their hair immediately. And yes, I think more about the job might have something to do with it, because you're right. If they wear a ponytail all day, every day, I almost always have all of my extensions done in such a way that it can be hidden. But I do mention the sides, the extensions on the sides. Mm-hmm. First, let's go back a little bit. Extensions are always going to have to be hidden, camouflaged, styled a little bit different than no extensions. No matter what, you have a little bit. And so I also choose my words kind of carefully here. I'll say, when people say, can I wear extensions on the side of my head? I'll pull my hair back in a ponytail all the time. It's not just yes or no. I hate that, because I like yeses and nos. Often I tell my wife, could you just say yes or no? Thank God she won't be watching this video today, because sometimes you just can't say yes or no. And so I'll say, one of my favorite words, like yours is situationally, mine is, I use a few different ones, but I'll say oh man, I lost the word. I'll think of it in here in a minute. But when they want extensions on the side, I'm mostly describing, because I hate to use big words anyway for people, but I'm mostly describing like you can, but there'll be some limitations. That's the word. I'll say there's some limitations, some restrictions, some things you might have to do differently, think differently. Like, sure, you can wear your hair back, but you might have taken this hair on the back and went straight back into a ponytail. And if you reveal straight lines and you have extensions and straight lines on the side, I'll be coloring this today before I go to the hair show in Fort Lauderdale this weekend. But if you have straight lines and you pull hair straight back, you're going to reveal them. So you have to have a little forethought and just droop down a little or up a little. You have to go a little higher with the ponytail and pull it up to that ponytail, or don't go straight back. You can, but this hair might have to just slightly go down and around to this ponytail to hide and cover the extensions. And sometimes you have to pull the hair over a little. So you have to think about it a tiny bit. But as far as if you're active or not, that's not the part to me that really matters, because I put them in so well, they're going to stay no matter what you're doing. But you might have to style your hair differently depending on what you're doing, like a motorcycle helmet going on and off, and you take it off. It might reveal some of your extensions. But I can remember years ago, it just popped up. Ken put something like a throwback, flashback kind of thing when Paris Hilton was had a lot of, I think she ended up on the cover of Rolling Stone like this. From the side, you could see her extensions, her keratin bond. Okay. And I think that the people picking the pictures, maybe they don't know how extensions work and they just thought they were accessories in the hair. I often wonder, how do you put a famous person on a famous magazine and just let their extensions show? Maybe they don't know what they are. Not everybody understands how or what extensions are. They look at her head and they're like, I wonder what those things are in her hair. Maybe they're like barrettes. Maybe she put them in there on purpose. I don't know what people think when they see it. How does it pass so many people's eyes? And then she ends up on the cover and inside the magazine showing the extensions. And then does somebody later say, no, we should not have done that? Or we made a mistake. Let's own it. Those are extensions. Of course she wears extensions. She has a brand. She had an extension brand way back then.
Yeah, right.
And so maybe they're like, yep, she's wearing extensions. She's proud to show them off. You should wear them too. To me, it almost did kind of help, but I don't think it was on purpose. That's my rant. You have any questions?
No, that was a mistake. That was a mistake.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right. So then what about, for example, I have a lot of runners. So I know there are certain types of hair extensions I can't put in their hair. There are certain types of hair extensions that wear better in their hair. And then I also know that the positioning, I have to adjust my placement positioning as well. Because if I put them too low and then they got their hair pulled back, and then while they're running, they're bouncing a lot. So that's pulling a lot of tension on that placement areas. So I guess let's discuss those two things, right? What are some hair extension? Yes, like you said, there's limitations. What would be some that wouldn't be recommended versus some that would be? And then what, like for sports people in general, karate, running, basketball, I don't know, hockey, I guess, well, whatever sports I can think of.
So again, I'm mad.
Sports are no. Okay, forget sports. We won't say sports.
Because the ones you shouldn't do in some of those situations, in my mind, are the ones you should never use ever on any client ever. And
Glued?
So,
Glued?
Well, what I'm saying is there's a few techniques that I think are damaging to hair, even if you just sit and watch TV all day, compared to like tape in extensions. You shouldn't put them in ever. You know, I mean, maybe to walk down a runway just to show off a pretty dress and some new shoes. You'll put tape ins in because they're fast and easy, and you can load a bunch of hair up, give a quick cut and style. And yes, it's a fast application. It's just as fast as any other, even as fast as our application as far as putting them in. It's the retaping, the taking out, putting back in as a gooey, gluey mess. But who cares on a runway model, right? On the day of for a couple of hours, you could throw tape ins on a bunch of people. So that's where I would use your word situationally. Situationally.
It is situational, yeah.
Yeah. But all those other questions you just asked me, it's more like I expect everyone to be active at some point during the 3 months, 2 or 3 months that my extensions are going to last. So the ones that wouldn't do good on some of those people compared to others, it's not about their activity. To me, it's more about how many hairs they have per square inch and how strong each hair is. And so something you mentioned about where the placement is too close to the hairline. Yes, hair's a little finer and thinner, closer to the hairline, but I would never put hair close to the hairline ever. I'm expecting their hair to be bouncing and running all the time. So I don't know if there's a technique that's going to work better for that. Both wefts, beaded strands, keratin strands would be good for all people all the time. The thing that I would say that differentiates this here is how often they need maintenance and them redone, depending on some things that's going on with their hair. Not as much the activity, although the activity, more activity might speed up the service appointments and the communication. If something goes wrong, call or text me right away. But for the most part, if done right on thick, coarse hair, doesn't matter what you do, it should be fine. But what I start to notice is some people have finer, thinner hair, or if you see those, this is something that comes with experience, and this is probably going to be the golden nugget of this whole video. It's only something that comes with experience. When people come in as a client and they're asking me, how long can I wear extensions? I'm looking at their head, and it's almost like I've become a savant from the experience of doing extensions. I'm looking at their head, and you know what I'm looking at? The humidity down here in South Louisiana helps me tell the future a little bit better, because what's happening is everybody's going through these stages of losing hair, right? And then dormancy, and I know there's big fancy words for it, and then the hair's growing back. And when those hairs are growing back on a girl with what's supposed to be long, one length straight hair, has these frizzies, little short hairs that are kind of curling up, the humidity starting to make them stick up. And the more of that she has on her head just kind of sticking out, the more I'm realizing she's either going through the growing stages faster than the average person. So the hair I'm going to attach to with the extensions is going to be less hair sooner. So she's going to need service more often. So when they ask how long are they going to last, I'm thinking, well, not long at all on you, girl. But then the other girl that comes in and has flat, smooth hair and very little broken hair, regrowing hair. And then, of course, I'm judging by the color. If the color is very, very light, I'm assuming maybe a lot more bleach and chemicals. So maybe she's going through the growing stages faster, and somebody's burning that hair off with bleach. So if it's blonde and this is happening, I'm not so worried about the extensions, whereas most hairdressers are, because the shorter hairs might just be chemical damage. And near the scalp, where I'm applying extensions, is the strongest hair on her head. So I can put extensions on that what looks like damaged hair easily and get really good success because I'm looking near the scalp and all the hairs are there. It's not going through the shedding process as fast. So, there's just certain things that come with you over time. And so to me, if that girl is medium brown, not doing any color or much on the highlights and has a lot of space between her hairs, then I'm going to be saying, looks like your hair is going through the shedding process faster than most, which means the hairs I'm connected to are going to start to shed out today. And so most people can go 6, 7, 8 weeks or more sometimes with extensions. You might have to come in 6 weeks or less to get your service done, but let's monitor it. Let's look at it in 2 or 3 weeks. I just really care about the quality of your hair, and I want the extensions to be grabbing onto something. And as it starts to shed, it'll be grabbing on the less. So we need to do. So that's that's kind of like my different process than most. I'm not asking about their activities to decide what kind of hair I'm putting in. I'm asking about their lifestyles and what they're going through, and looking at their head and hair and reading their hair like a map to figure out how much they need to take care of their own hair and how often I need to get in there and take care of their hair.
Well, then if you're looking at that criteria like that, then I would add to, you got to be judgy a little. As a stylist, we do have to be judgy a little bit. And what do I mean by that is, if you're coming in and it's been 8 to 10 weeks since you've had your hair color touch up, forget about your highlights, just in general. If you haven't had your hair colored, your hair color should be done every 4 to 6 weeks. If you're going beyond that, for whatever the reason is, okay, fine. That's your reason. It's your budget. It's your lifestyle. It's your habit. It's your laziness. It's your activity. It's your work, your job, your family. Whatever your reason is your own reason. But at the end of the day, you need to get your base color, your root touch up, however you want to refer to it as, every 4 to 6 weeks. If you're going beyond that, then when you're asking for extra services, the expectations are going to be much lowered, because your keratin treatment isn't going to last very long. Your hair extension isn't going to last very long. Your perm isn't going to no service that you get done is going to last very long, because for whatever the reasons are, you do not maintain your hair on a proper schedule. So that service is going to die sooner than it should. It's going to fall off sooner than it should. We do have to judge about things like that as well too. The other thing, like you're mentioning, as far as looking at the damage of the hair, I also look at the amount of tangling, natural tangling that's in the hair. So if you're somebody who likes to wear a lot of collars, or like to wear a lot of turtlenecks, or like to wear a lot of scarves, or just whatever, blazers, different types of materials, if you're really big on the cottons or the wools, things that generally create friction, then that's going to be another telltale sign of there's going to be like you're saying, there's going to be limitations to what we can't do or should do, for that matter. So clothing, how often you take care of it. I ask somebody, how often do they style their hair? A week, in general, just in general. And I just want to hear what they say. Like, how often do they pull it back versus how often do they actually spend time to style their hair? Because if you're not spending time styling your hair 3-4 times a week, again, whatever your reasons are your reasons. That's fine. But that's a telltale sign as well that if that habit isn't already ingrained in you, how much willing and how realistically are you going to be able to handle maintaining this hair extension service we're about to put in for you, depending on whichever type it is. Do some hair extensions lend themselves a little bit easier to maintenance than others? As far as the attachment areas.
Is that one of our questions?
What's that?
Is that one of the questions you had lined up for today?
And then, well, yeah, I'm just thinking about it now, and it segues right in. It actually fits perfectly, right? Do some hair extension installations, like the way some hair extensions are attached, tape, weft, strand, bead, clip, track, so whatever the attachment area is, do some of those lend themselves to easier maintenance, or are they all the same maintenance, really?
Oh, that they're not the same. They're all completely different.
I'm gonna bring it up. for a discussion, because The people are like, I brush my hair, it's fine. I'm like, you ain't brushing your hair right.
There's so many ways to go with this. I'm thinking of three things at the same time. It's not as much the two big ones in my eyes are not necessarily okay. So one is terrible on the install. I would say again to really I want to kick tape ins while they're down. You just can't attach a tape in extension to enough hair to support the weight of the extension almost ever. So that one on the install is potentially damaging to persons, to people who don't have a strong enough root hair or thick enough, coarse enough hair to support the weight of it. So right from the get-go, you have that tape, you lay hairs across there. You can't put so much hair that tape sticks to just hair on both sides, because then they come apart. You have to have space between the hairs. So when you put the other tape there, the tape sticks to the tape in between the fibers of hair. So you almost always have to have such a fine, thin section of hair from the client to support the tape in extension, that when you put the two together, you can almost never have enough hair to support it. But maybe you have some really big hairs, some really strong, like my hair could probably support tape in extensions. And it's a rare few. People like me who are growing their hair out just don't need extensions usually, because I have such thick, coarse hair and it grows fast and solid and even that I could get long hair easily. People that need extensions don't generally need tape ins or shouldn't have tape ins. It's going to cause more damage over time. And so when I say it's a fast and easy one to put in, if you're taking it out kind of soon, no big deal. The problem is people want to get that wear and tear out of it. So now I'm going to lump two techniques in on the next problem I'm going to talk about, which is removal. So a lot of extension damage or problems come from the hairdresser during removal. Because that was one of our biggest challenges with K-tips, keratin tips, she hair. We can teach people how to put them in right and maintain them at home and take them out right. But if the client goes too long wearing them because they're trying to make it last so they don't have to spend the money again soon, it becomes tangled or matted and harder to remove. Then the hairdresser wants to get them out in a timely manner, so they rush the removal. They have another client coming in. They only booked a couple hours for removal. And let's say the client's not getting them put back in. I just want to get my extensions out. Okay. Well, then we start removal and like, oh my goodness, this might take an hour longer than I expected. I need to start pushing it a little harder. So then there's a lot more faster combing, more crunching with pliers, more aggressive mechanical damage that's not good for the hair. And so now you've got the hairdresser rushing removal, because keratin bonds are a little harder to remove. And so it's up to the hairdresser to be more gentle during the removal. Take the time it takes to remove it. And then with tape ins, similar, the hairdressers will get the tape out, but there's a lot of goo left behind in the hair. And how do you remove that? I mean, it's everything between, different kind of clarifying shampoos, to Dawn dishwashing detergent, to rubbing alcohol, to fine tooth combs with fine teeth, even a nit remover, lice comb some people use, and a couple of shampooing. And it's like a lot of, you hate the word lice, huh?
I got to sanitize my whole desk now. Every time you say it, I know. You start getting.
Yeah. So, I mean, I got that trick from another hairdresser that used it to remove adhesive, put a lot of shampoo in, and then that lice comb's got the teeth.
I heard you the first time. It's okay. You don't have to explain.
When you push it, it does remove more. But if there's a tangle, it's just going to pull the hair out of the head, right? So it's like you've got to know how. It's up to you and the strength. And if you push in through and it stops, you've got the choice. Force it and break hairs off, or back off. See if you can remove it. Maybe it needs a little more adhesive remover, a little more alcohol, a little more soap. What do we do to get this tangle out or this clump of adhesive? Go ahead.
It's so funny. You just made me think of something. I'm just thinking about this. every time I'm watching a stylist work, anytime they hit a snag, their first instinct reaction is to rip through.
Not
So
every, but way too many.
way too many. Why is that? Why is? Let me know a comment. Whoever's watching this, let me know why that happens. Why is everybody's instinct
Because
to?
you got to get it out, and they don't. How else are you gonna? I know. And so when I'm combing through hair, you've got the bristles in the hair, and you're coming down, and you hit a snag. You can just let the bristles come out, and when you hit that snag, it'll push it a little bit. But then it knots up and you let it out and then go below it and because you've got this tangle and the next tangle and you're pushing one tangle into the next tangle into the next. And then you got 3 tangles that turn into this triple knot and it stops. And I don't know if people put that together in their head. They just think if I get to it, it's got to come out. That's what we're doing. We're detangling hair. If we push harder, it'll come out of the head. Right. Or you'll break the hairs. And I watch too many hairdressers, like you're saying, they brush and it stops and they just push harder or they go faster, And so it's just like just raking through. And I'm always ready to tilt my brush backwards as I'm going through, because as you're going through it, you just let the bristles, they stop, let them fall out and then brush underneath and come up till you hit it again. And then maybe you got to start at the bottom. And there's always a let that brush out. And sometimes you got to put your fingers in there and separate the hair where it might be tangled, or use a different tool or some conditioning spray or an oil or a silicone, something to help lubricate maybe.
So you just remind me of another thing too. Now I'm starting to just think of all kinds of things now while you're saying
let's go back to this real quick. Just make sure we got all the way through it. So your question was more about, again, kept being like, what do you wear? How often should the maintenance be? And mine is more about depending on the person's head and hair will determine how often they should come in and get maintenance. And then you were like, what kind of technique should they wear for different things? And then I was saying tape-ins, probably only for runways. Maybe somebody could comment and tell me another good time to wear them, but very temporary, without the thought of taking them out and putting them back in would be if you're not taking them out and putting them back in, that's fine. Get them, wear them once, throw them away. You can clean them up, but it takes so long to do. Like, do it like you do a cap highlight at home. Go buy them at the local drugstore and do them on each other for fun. And when you get your hair all damaged and messed up and you want to move up, go to a professional product. Right. So then
bring a tape line in just for you.
And I know we're probably going to sell tape one day and I'm going to have to eat all of these words. I'm not going to eat the words, but I'm just going to be like, you asked for it, buy it, figure out how to like it. Don't ask me for support. What's going on?
Yeah, just call Eddie. Right. Yeah. Thanks.
Good idea. Good idea. Right. You asked for it. You wanted it. You paid for it. Stop complaining, because there's faster, easier products that I can support. So, I love keratin bonds. I really do. But the world is always changing. And I hated the wefts here at first when they were sewing. I was just, God, I hope she's not listening to this because I'm not trying to make fun of her. But this is common. I'm messaging with a girl this morning. And she tells me how she uses our beaded wefts and strands. And I'm all excited. Yay, congratulations. Get that thumbs up, all the emojis. And she goes, but I also took a blah, blah, blah wefted class recently. And I'm like, to learn how to sew in? We get a lot of people that sew in wefts move over to us because no more string, no more sewing, reusable wefts, no short hairs, no return hairs. So when I hear this, I think something's not adding up. You're using our fast, easy, great looking wefts, and you took a sew-in class after that? How do I not make fun of her? And maybe I'm wrong, but my immediate thought is you're going backwards. Why are you going backwards? Tell me why. So then I got to think about how to ask it politely, because I'm thinking, of course, I can be wrong. I know my wife thinks that I think I'm never wrong, but I was that one time. And so I know it can it could happen
I
again
was
one
wrong
day.
once 30 years ago. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I asked, and she had actually some pretty good answers. She said, well, a lot of the girls in the salon, it's more of a competitive thing. A lot of the other girls in the salon took this class and they're sewing in wefts, and I don't like to be left behind, so I wanted to learn it too. Okay. Then she said, and the first thing I thought was, that is a low end product I used 30 years ago. I don't even know why this company's still around, but that was the reason. She said, and sometimes if a customer can't afford to wear the hair that you sell, I'll use this as a cheaper option. And I thought exactly what I was thinking. They're low end and really cheap. And so she said, it doesn't last nearly as long, but some people just are just about the money and don't care about the quality. And I thought, well, that is actually a good answer. I would rather take the no, because I know that customer is going to deal with challenges and then be complaining to me. And I guess some hairdressers would rather get the money and deal with the problems. And that's a viable answer. You know, I was like, oh, okay, you don't mind dealing with, she said, the hair doesn't last as long. They complain, you know, they have more problems. She didn't say they have more problems, but she said the hair doesn't last as long. So I immediately heard they have more problems. And they'll just spend less money more often. So yes, if you think about it, they probably spend the same money or maybe even less money over time buying higher quality stuff. But some people don't have the more money now. They have the little money now, and they have a little money again in a little bit of time. So they have to do or want to do the cheaper option instead of saving up to do the better option. So I appreciate hearing the other opinions. And so that was some of the other ideas. And so how do you argue with that? It's like, okay.
No, there's a place for that because it's a good analogy. I like to go to the restaurant. You know, Carmelina is always saying the restaurants are too expensive. Let's just go get fast food 3 days a week instead of going to the restaurant 1 day a week. And I'm telling her, how about we cook at home 3 days a week, not go to fast food and still go to the restaurant once a week, you know? So it's all perspective. It's all a matter of perspective. The thing what I try to explain to clients, because in the salon, I get hit with that regularly. Like, oh, Eddie, I'd love for you to do my hair, but we know you're really snobby about, you know, quality of hair, and you refuse to do the low quality stuff all the time. And it's like, okay, that's fair. I understand. I said, and that's fine. You're going to the other stylist and she's doing it for you, and you're having fun getting it done. And it's not a problem. I'm still talking to you. Like everything is fine. I'm just not the one touching that because I refuse to touch it. That's my choice. I go, but in the end of the day, I got really friendly with one client in particular. And I told her the one time, I says, would you do an experiment with me? Did you
do the math with her?
Yeah. I said, would you go back in your credit cards and would you look at all your transactions and total them all up for me? I said, just out of curiosity. I said, I ain't going to judge you one way or another. You know, again, like I said, we built up a rapport and we got real friendly with each other.
Yeah.
So she brings in her numbers, and then I show her, had she saved up and bought the one quality hair.
And went without hair for a little while.
And went without hair for a while.
Not okay.
And that was her response to me. She goes, I would have been bald for 3-4 months by the time I saved up enough money to do that. Get the hell out of here. You know?
Yeah.
So, and she refused to not have hair.
Some people don't have the option to do both. Like, well, let's get the cheap stuff now and save. No, the money I would have saved, I'm spending on hair now. So I have to do the cheaper options starting now. So it's a tough transition. We've also got people that are in reusable techniques like tape in who see what we have, even the price. I had a girl come in and I said, you know what, for video's sake, and so my hairdressers, we talked about this in the past, can learn to hate tape ins as much as I do. I'd like my stylist to do your hair for free once. We'll take all of your tape ins out and we will put new adhesive, put them back in. I had 3 stylists work on it. And, you know, some hated it to a different degree than others, but some of them were like, I would never do this again. Now, maybe because they didn't get paid, made them hate it even more. But it was a good example. It was a lot of hair and cleaning up tapes, putting new tape on, putting it in. We all kind of traded positions. And they were all like, it was their first time, but they were all like, why would people do this? I said, well, she's already in it. For her, it's cheaper for her to get them taken out, cleaned up. She doesn't have the cost of hair again for a while because you can redo tape-ins. But she, at the same time, I said, I'm going to fill the sides in a little bit with some cut up wefts of ours, just where we could add a little hair, a little highlight around your face, get a feel for how those feel. See if you want to switch to that in the future. She said, I love them. What would it cost me to do it? Unfortunately, the cost of all new hair and the service the first time was more expensive than her just redoing the tape ins. And she was really mad at me when we wouldn't redo the tape again. I said, I was really clear with you. We're going to do this once. If any one of my stylists happens to love it, we'll charge you, and I'll let that stylist do it again in the future. None of them wanted to do her hair. She got so mad she wanted to review us badly. And I said, girl, you can't be mad. I was honest with you from the front. I don't love tape ins. We're good at it and we can do it, but that's the part I don't like. I don't like all that gooey, gluey mess and then putting new tape on. The time it took for 3 stylists and myself to do it, that we couldn't have charged her enough to make it worth it. So I said, I'd like to switch it to these wefts that are not gooey at all. And she said, yeah, but I can't afford to buy all that hair and switch over right now. Plus in her head, I got all this hair that's perfectly good. Why would I buy more hair? I want to get the life out of this first. Then when I need hair, maybe. And she still never did call back. Who knows how long it'll last. So I get some people are in the trap. They're in the trap. They've already got hair that's reusable to some degree, but it's not as neat.
So you're just making, you keep saying the gooey mess and all that stuff. And now I'm thinking about other things as well. There's some of the things that people who do a lot of workout or do a lot of sports activities or do a lot of strenuous jobs, they tend to obviously sweat more because they are, they are moving more. They're doing more in
instead of watching TV.
Instead of watching TV. So these are the ones that are running down the hall to the kitchen, not walking, they're running to the bathroom and then coming back in between the commercial break. So a lot of the people who wear hair extensions tend to go a few extra days without regularly washing. So they'll use a lot more dry shampoos, or they'll use a lot more products, or they'll use other things in place of clarifying, right? And then that builds up, their sweat builds up, and now they have like all these different things. So when they come in and it's time for a move up, a redo, a replace, whatever the service is, a lot of that gets in the way. Do you ever pre-wash somebody before removing the extensions, or how do you handle, or do you just do heavy brushing? How do you handle dealing with all that buildup in the hair?
That's a good point. I got out from behind the chair before the beaded wefts and strands came in. And so I've never had to do many services, but I like clean hair. I love clean hair. So I would clean hair before I even put the extensions in. Whereas I notice the hairdressers in my own salon, even across the country, they don't necessarily. So I guess the way I'd handle it now, I think most of my customers knew I liked clean hair. So they just came with clean hair to start with. But now that you're saying it, if they were really bad, yeah, I would probably wash their hair before I remove. Because if you don't, you would have to potentially clean the extension hair separate from the client's hair. Because I'm going to almost always, personally, this is my personal feeling, is I like all of my clients' hair to start the same, which means I'm going to personally cleanse the heck out of it and rinse it. I'm going to use a clarifying shampoo and rinse it at least 2, sometimes 3 times. I want to hear my fingers squeak over the hair when I go to rinse it. And then no conditioner, no detangling products. It's going to float a little bit with the static electricity in the room. But we're going to get all the barriers off the hair because I am attaching something to their hair and I want it to be as barrier free as possible. Nothing between what I'm using and their hair when they get put together, whether it's a keratin bond a ring I'm squeezing, tape in extensions, taping on there. I feel like all of these things are going to attach better to the actual hair itself. And I don't want conditioner because it might coat the sides. I don't want any oils, no silicones. So I'm going to always clean the client's hair before I put extensions in. But if I did keratin bonds for so many years, we didn't reuse the hair. So it didn't matter as much. It was the few taping clients in the early days that were reusable that I would be like, oh God, this is some gross hair. But I'm using alcohol to remove some adhesive, put a new piece of tape. That's clean. I clean the client's hair. I dried it. So I've got to clean. Sometimes the hair might not be as perfectly clean as I'd like, but that part didn't matter as much to me because what I was applying and where I was applying was all as clean as I could get it. And if they wanted to come in with funky hair, it was more of a time thing. If I had time to clean it all before I removed it, I would. But I would monitor and manage that in such a way where, hey, lady, don't come with this funky hair next time. What are you thinking? You shouldn't even be leaving the house like this.
So do you remember the times, do you, this is far back long enough, you should remember this. Like it was actually recommended to come with dirty hair.
For extensions?
For everything, every service. And nowadays, people still think that coming with dirty hair is a good thing or the right thing to do.
Do you remember the reasons why? I got a few guesses on my end, but
I do, yes.
Is this a whole nother video we should be doing in the future?
Possible. I'll give you the short answer.
Yeah. Let's not go too deep into it. I'm going to say what I think and know. For updos, the hair tended to stick to itself better, so you could get the style to work better for updos. So they wanted more product buildup. So when they tease, it stays teased. Clean hair tends to detangle easier. When the color products were much more aggressive, a lot more ammonia in the color. And so they didn't want the client scrubbing their head the day before, the morning of, and taking off that dead skin cell layer on the scalp or products on the hair. You wanted a bit of a barrier so the scalp didn't burn and maybe the hair didn't burn. They wanted the chemicals were so aggressive, they wanted to buffer it down with product buildup and skin buildup. Is that kind of the short answer?
That's the short of it. That's the short of it. But to this day, people still believe it became such a old wives' tale. That it's like it's still to this day.
They're like, you're the hairdresser. I don't need to do anything to my hair for the last month, right? Because you're going to take care of it.
I was coming to get my hair done. You deal with it.
Yeah, right. I get it.
It's like you come home. It's like take your kid.
We all build clienteles according to our like niche, our way. Like you only have clients that are going to get high end extensions. So we all get clients that will work with our way of working, whether it's our personality, our lifestyle. Heck, you'll find that if you're of a particular belief in religion, you tend to get a lot of your clients from the church you go to. Sure. So then you'll have clients that mostly believe like you do, work like you do. If you're active, they're active. If you're not, they're not. So the good thing about the hair business is we tend to get most of our clients are similar to because if they don't agree with you, they get mad and they leave anyway. So they tend to be our kind of friends and have similar belief levels as us. So my clients got to know, like, I don't like dirty hair. Don't come in with dirty hair. Even, it's more common for me, I found, with guys. They'd come in with a lot of product in their hair. So I would shampoo before and after a haircut. A man with short hair, it's fast and easy anyway. It wouldn't be an extensive massaging, relaxing shampoo experience. I'd say, hey, let's get this product out of your hair. Let's give it a quick shampoo and rinse before I cut it. And then we'll shampoo again at the end to get all that loose hair out. And they're happy. They're like, well, my barber usually doesn't shampoo it at all, before or after. I know, but I don't like dirty hair. Come on. I'd rather it just be clean. I hated the buildup on my scissors, on my hands, the sticky feeling. I mean, I didn't even really like cutting agents. Some people spray stuff in the hair before they start cutting to get, I don't know what they were called. I think they called them cutting agents or additives. I mean, maybe some detangling spray on some girl with really long hair I'm having trouble getting through. But for the most part, I didn't like anything in hair. I want clean, wet hair. That was my opinion. Yeah, that's funny. I kind of do remember that now. I got an appointment in at 10. Well, no, I'm sorry, 11 o'clock today. So we got to wrap this up soon.
I mean, there's soon. I was about to say that's all I got.
We got everything covered.
How's that for soon? There you go.
Active lifestyles. If you're not slow and lazy, you can wear extensions. No, only if you're slow and lazy, you can wear extensions, right? I don't know what this active lifestyle thing is. If you have an active lifestyle, you should shave your head. That way you're safe from hair damage.
That's the easiest way to deal with it,
Yeah.
huh?
Boy, what a great extension commercial. Cut this off the end of the video.
Come in more often. The long and the short of it is if you're doing things more than the average person, then you need to come in more often
More
than the average
person.
Okay.
That's a good way to say it. Yeah. There you go.
So that's the long and short of it. Thank you guys for watching so much. Leave a comment explaining to Bernard the greatness of tape. And be profitable, stay profitable. We'll catch y'all next week.
Hang up. Press